Hey, it's Joshua Austin here, and you are watching the Best Practices Show.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the Best Practices Show. We take a look at the best business practices from the best dental practices all over. And if you're trying to build a high quality restorative practice, one of the things you're trying to figure out is how can I be different from the guy or gal who practices right next door to me? And I've got one of the worldwide experts, Dr. Josh Austin, on here, and you do not want to miss this. First of all, you're going to love this guy. I love this guy. He's one of the best looking guys in all of dentistry. He's an entertaining author, speaker, all that kind of stuff, and he's got some incredible insight. You do not want to miss this. So do me a favor, grab a pen and hit the share button. You're going to love this. Now, a couple show notes. Before we get started with this, we are shooting this live on Facebook like we do with all of them. So if you're watching it right now and you're listening to Josh and go, this is amazing, and you have a question, dish it to me. I'll see it in the feed and I'll give it straight to him while he's on the broadcast. Or if you're watching it later on, like a lot of you do, because we look at the metrics, some of you are watching it at 2 in the morning. I don't know what you're doing at 2 in the morning, but when you're watching at 2 in the morning, continue to add questions to the feed because Josh is like a social media super freak. So he'll probably respond to you at 2 in the morning. So who knows? And keep sending us suggestions for shows. You're going to see I'm going to have Josh back a lot on different topics, and keep sending them to us. We're lining them up as best we can. We're in the midst of lecture season. So as you can imagine, we're just trying to get this all done. Right now, over 39,000 followers on Facebook and over 150,000 of you have visited us on iTunes. I don't even know how it works. All I can say is thank you. So my guest today, now this guy was, first of all, I want you to tell the story. People are going to want to know who you are. I love talking with you. I love watching you speak. Every time I see you speak, you get better and better and better. And you were ranked one of the top educators in the world under the age of 40. And you're like, what, 31 now? I have no idea.
39. So I just barely squeaked in under it. But yeah, it was like the top 10 dental educators under 40. Yeah. And the great thing about that list is that they couldn't find 10 dental educators under 40. So they had to add Marco Brendes, who's like 44 into it. So that's how exclusive of a list it is.
They messed with his birth certificate and kind of got him into the World Series, right?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Danny Almonte all over again. So it's an exclusive club where they couldn't fill it, so they had to stretch the definition a little bit.
Yeah, but let me just say this. Every time I see you, it doesn't get a little bit, it gets that much better. Like, it's awesome. So I'm just grateful to know you, watch it all happen. And now I know who you are. A lot of people watching know who you are. Tell people who you are. Like, who is Josh Austin? What do you do?
I'm an average general dentist at best, and I've surrounded myself with great people and great mentors like Jeff Rouse and Bill Robbins and Mike Totola, and gotten to learn a lot of things. And, when you surround yourself with great people, you get great opportunities. And I got an opportunity a few years ago to be on the editorial board and be an editorial director for Dental Economics magazine. And I honestly feel like I have the best gig in all of dentistry. I get to review products, services, and technology for dental economics. So what that means is when Ivoclar, 3M, Dentsply, Voco, whoever comes out with a new composite adhesive cement, new material, new technology, whatever, they send it to me to get to play with. So I've played with all of the materials. I've played with all the tech. They give it to me for free. It's awesome. And all I have to do is write about it. And so it's just such a great deal. And, it's only because I had a great relationship with Chris Salerno, the editor of Dental Economics, and he needed some help. So he called me, right? And so dentistry is no different than anything else. It is a relationship game. And whether that be relationship with other professionals or relationships with your patients, everything's driven by relationships.
Yeah, now I'm going to call you out on this because who do you have a relationship with that you got a Russell Wilson helmet up there? Is that one of your friends in Seattle? I can almost guess who that would be.
It might be. And that's another thing. Like, when somebody to the level of Michael Cohen, for some reason, likes me, like, I don't know why he likes me. I have no idea, but he's opened doors for me that I would never, ever have. Right. So big shout out to the Godfather up in the Emerald City.
Hey, he gives me a hug and tells me he loves me all the time, but I've never gotten a helmet from him.
Yeah, so. Well, so Russell Wilson had or has Great Danes, and I used to have Great Danes. And so Russell Wilson and I have kind of a kindred relationship of being Dane dads.
That's awesome. Now, I want to go to this, too, because if you're watching this, you got to check this out. Josh is one of the premier podcasters, not just in dentistry. It is fall down funny. Now, I want you to take us a little bit through the evolution because we're going to get into the topic here in a second. But I want them to know you've got an incredible podcast that is just off the charts hilarious called Working Interferences. Tell us what that is.
Yeah. So, there's every Yahoo with a bald head has a dental podcast now, right? Like everybody. And so, but a lot of them try to deliver content just like you do, right? Mm-hmm. And we realize that, hey, a lot of people, like, their day is stressful. They get in their car, they need some levity, right? They need some kind of relief. And we invented a genre called dental comedy, which my fiance insists does not exist, but dentists need to laugh too, right? And there's nothing funnier than some of the stuff that happens in a dental office. So we came up with an idea for an advice show. Now, we don't answer questions about, like, what's the best bonding agent, what's the best cement. Gordon Christensen does that really well. What we do is we answer questions about, like, the weird esoteric relationship kind of things that happen in a dental office. And so we get asked some crazy questions. We've also found a website called Reddit, which is a kind of a message board. There's a dentistry subreddit where generally patients ask dentists questions. And there is the craziest stuff that you could ever imagine on there. And so we find those questions and we answer them.
Yeah. So if you're a dentist just driving home, I think it's the perfect thing to listen to when you're driving home, just to take the edge off. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll find that the crazy stuff you tell yourself, other people are thinking it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless your kids are in the car. It is a very much adults only show.
Yeah. No. Don't put the kids in the car. No. So that, and then also too, there's so many other things, but let's go into the why on this because, I'm big. Differentiation is huge in dentistry and you've done it in your practice. Tell us why this is important.
Yeah. So I opened my practice 9 years ago. And when I opened my practice, I was terrified that someone would open up right around me. I got lucky and found a great location right off of a highway where there wasn't really any other dentist for a stretch of road. And so I was like, well, my differentiator is location, right? Which is great until someone opens up right around you and then you no longer have that differentiator. So I was terrified for years and years that a dentist would open up around me and kill my practice, right? And so I just kept, I had this 800-pound gorilla on my back. Is like, okay, I want to feel security. I want to have some sort of assurance and insurance that if somebody does open across the street from me, that it's not going to kill me. And so I started looking for ways to differentiate myself. And so I came up with sort of 5 different ways that I have successfully differentiated myself. And I was literally driving to work about 3 months ago, as about 6 months ago, because that's when I came up with the idea to do this as a program. And I saw another dental office that had been constructed, had opened, had a grand opening party, and had been there literally across the highway from me for 2 or 3 weeks, and I never even noticed it, right? No downtick in calls, no patients leaving, nothing like that. And it's like, okay, well, I guess this has worked. And it's something that most dentists in the United States have to deal with, and that's direct competition really close to you.
Right. And let's go deeper into that because you shared a pretty important stat with me, the 68% thing. Tell everybody what that is.
Yeah. So the Health Policy Institute at the ADA did a study that basically showed that 68% of the dentists in the United States practice within 1.57 miles, I believe it was, to the closest general dentist. So that's, I mean, you could run there much faster than I could. You could run there in about 9 minutes. It would take me about 25 minutes, but I mean, that's literally around the corner, right? Like 1.57 miles is around the corner. And so the vast majority of general dentists in this country are right on top of each other, and so for every person that's in a rural area, there's 5 other people in a city area that have 3 or 4 or 5 dentists within a 9 iron of their office, right? So this is important. Your differentiator can't just be where your practice is, unless you're in a rural location. But, that just is very uncommon. And so for the most of us, like, this is something we have to deal with. And I think it takes some deep introspection about what do you want to be your differentiator? And it may not come up right away. It may be something you really have to think about for a while, and that's okay. But start thinking about it, start having that conversation with yourself.
Yeah. Now you're a puppy. You're still young, but I'm getting older, so I get, my opinions get a little bit more concrete as I get older. So I got to be careful about what I say. But can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Like, would it be fair to say, look, it's not the top that's crowded, it's the bottom that's crowded? Because people think, oh, we're so different. But if you call any office, I don't care if they've been through all the great education, it sounds the same, feels the same. Like, is it fair to say there's so much room to improve on top of what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm certain, this is the point that I think a lot of dentists come in and say, like, oh yeah, corporate dentistry is really just, it's the race to the bottom, blah, blah, blah. And there's a place in our market for corporate run dental practices that accept every plan and do that sort of deal. Like, they serve a population that many of us don't have the desire to serve, or don't have the practices set up to be able to serve and have the infrastructure needed to be able to do that profitably. So, I think here's where a lot of, I think the old mindset, or the scared mindset, or the scarcity mindset says, yeah, all these other dental practices are screwing stuff up for everybody else, and we've got to fight to the bottom to compete with that. Whereas the abundance mindset is like, hey, I'm going to build the practice that I want. And if I do it in a way that speaks to a certain clientele or a certain demographic of people, then those people are going to come to me, and it's going to be more than just hey, I saw you on Cigna's website, right? That's kind of the hope. So and I can tell you it works. I'm testament to it. San Antonio, Texas, just like any other city in the United States where there's a dental school, is overpopulated with dentists, right? And there are great dentists right around me. 2 of my mentors, Bill, who you've had on this show, Bill Robbins and Brian Schroeder, are within 4 miles of my office, right? But we have just like a little different slant on things, and that's perfect. So they attract a certain clientele of people, I attract a certain clientele of people, and there's enough for us to all go around, right?
Yeah, and it's so fun because you and I hang with these circles of people, but like, even specialists tell me, oh, it's so hard now. But then you have somebody like Jason Stoner, who has 4 practices. They're 100% fee for service. Right. He's a periodontist, doesn't take a dime of insurance, never has. And he's too busy. Like, so it's just the mindset that goes with the type of practice. And his team members would kill for him. They love working for him, which is just insane. So take us through this, Josh. Like, if I'm a young dentist watching this, I'm like, Josh, help me out. Where do I start?
So you got to find what your differentiator is, right? Like, so what do you want to do? Who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal patient? What type of services do you want to do? And so for me, like, don't get me wrong, I really like doing this sort of, veneers and DSDs and all those kind of things. Those are great. That's going to be one of the differentiators we're going to talk about. But also, I also enjoy like everyday dentistry as well, right? I don't want to like get to a point in my career where I'm not doing some of that everyday dentistry, because it's also part of what I write about. It's part of what I speak about. And so, you got to find, like, number one, what you want to do, the type of demographic you want to serve, the type of patient you want to see. And then you start building systems around that. And you then have to find, like, sort of, what are your differentiators? What sets us apart from that practice that's 1.57 miles away? Right. And that may not be something that you can answer like that. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit to kind of figure it out, but just start thinking about the process. And so for us, it came down to 5 things that differentiate us from other practices. Some of them, honestly, are sort of kind of dumb, but when you think about it in the prism of what the 4 obstacles are to people coming into our offices are, each of them addresses kind of something different in that whole process.
Absolutely. And so if you're watching this, we're going to go through each one of them. But if you're thinking, well, how am I different? The coaches I work with are amazing because they're way smarter than I am. And they come back with these great questions. So many of the coaches we have on our team, they teach team members to ask 2 questions. Why us and why now? Because your patients, if you're willing to listen, they'll start telling you why you're different. And that's a little bit of a hint of which direction to go into, because it's too hard to figure this stuff out of yourself. I was telling you before we went live, like, my wife is like, I'm so grateful that you can, do something when you're talking, because you can't fix anything at the house. And like, it would be terrible for me to build a business where I'm fixing things all the time.
Right.
So same thing as a dentist, figure out what you're good at, stay there, and build a practice around that. Would you agree?
100%. Absolutely. You got to find what you love, what you're passionate about, what you want to get better at, what you enjoy getting better at. Like, I'm not good at endo. I'm never going to be good at endo. I could do as much endo CE as I wanted, and I'll be miserable during all of it. I'm never going to get great at it, right? So that's something I have no problem turfing that out, right? Referring that out. I would much rather be doing other stuff. And so you've got to figure out those things. And sometimes it comes easy and sometimes it comes hard. But those are things as a young dentist you've got to be thinking about. What do I want to do every day? What's my ideal day look like? And write it down, draw it out. Put, John Doe, 2 crown preps at 8 a.m., Jane Doe, 2 fillings at 9:30, however, lay out your ideal schedule and build a practice that supports that.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, this is the United States of America. Do you know what I mean? I don't care what kind of practice you bought. It's your practice. Turn it in any direction you want to go.
Do anything you want.
Yeah. So take us through that. What's number 1?
So let's start with the 4 enemies. So these are I think 4 enemies, 4 barriers to care, 4 things that get in the way of patients coming in, saying yes, whatever it is. Time, convenience, pain, and money. None of that's new stuff. I've heard that before from plenty of other people. And if you can find some differentiator that addresses even just one of those things, it can set you up for success for many, many years. Right. So time is easy, right? Everybody's busy. Convenience is more along the lines of, hey, do people have to come and sit for 30 or 45 minutes in your waiting room before they ever even get to see you? Does your team make it hard on them? Do you only do paper forms? Do you not have any type of electronic communications that make things easy? All of that kind of stuff. How are your billing processes? Do you do some things to expedite things and make them easy? Or are we trying to make things easier for our patients so that it's easier for them in the middle of their day to stop and come and see us, right? Pain is easy. We all deal with that every day. We walk into the operatory. No offense, doc, but I hate you. Like, I haven't met you yet. If I told you I hated you, we'd have real problems, right? Yeah. And then money, which is maybe the hardest one to figure out. But there are some things that we can do that can address that, whether that be working with third-party financing things, or even just like simplifying things in our practice so that we don't have to charge as much to offer the same level of service, right? So there are different ways that we can deal with a lot of these types of enemies or barriers that we have to face.
Yeah, and the whole point, which you've done incredibly well, is just proactively answer these questions, not sit back and wait for the bombs to go off and then figure out what to do. So good stuff. So cool. Take us through number 1.
First one is, I'm certainly not the expert in this field, and you've had the person who is the expert on this field many a times in my good friend Chris Coachman, which I say as a joke because I've met him one time and he goes by Christian, and I love to get way too familiar with people who are experts in their field. But offer life-changing dentistry, right? And I do think that's somewhat insulting to people who do single tooth dentistry. Because that's not to say that somebody who breaks number 19 is in extreme pain and has been in pain for weeks and you take care of that. That's not to devalue what you're doing. You are absolutely changing their life when you get them out of pain and you give them the ability to chew again and all that kind of stuff. And so I've always, and I haven't found a better way to phrase that yet, but to just say that, life-changing dentistry is full arch and 15 veneers and yada, 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 and that's the only stuff we do that's life-changing, I think is somewhat insulting to the more nuts and bolts general dentists like me. But I've yet to find a better way to refer to it. But what I mean by life-changing dentistry is the type of dentistry that changes attitudes, that changes confidence, that addresses patients' problems that they've had their whole lives and have had real intense emotional and mental issues with, right? And so for I think now in 2018, that's DSD. It's digital smile design, and that's just the way to do it. And there's no better way to do it. My dad was a restorative dentist and what we call a nathologist, which is really code word for a pain in the ass prosthodontist that learned the old ways and never adapted, right? That's what a nathologist is.
You said that, I didn't.
I did. I said that. Absolutely. As the son of a nathologist, I will tell you that. And so nathologists do everything in the laboratory. They do everything on an articulator and a stone model and with wax. And when they do that, they forget the face and they forget the lips and they forget where the smile fits within the face. And in 1978, two guys named Frankie Spear and Johnny Coyce, again, me getting way too familiar with people who I don't know, came out with the idea of facially generated treatment planning. Carry that on to today where Coachman's doing digital smile design either through his app or one of the certified DSD labs. That's a way to offer life-changing dentistry that most likely the person down the street isn't offering, unless you're me and Bill Robbins and Brian Schroeder are right down the street doing a lot of DSDs. But even still, there's plenty of patients who have never heard about it, don't know about it. And when you do that kind of thing on them and you put that motivational mock-up in and you show them the images and you show them the video of themselves with their mock-up in, that is something that they're not going to get down the street.
Right. And look, we should probably say this. It doesn't rest solely in the hands of an app. It's more of a perspective.
The philosophy.
It's the philosophy behind, because I always say, like, it's okay to be one or the other, but like you either fix teeth or you change people's lives. And it's not that bad, because there are dentists, we know some a lot of, they're like, no, I get that whole life-changing thing, but I just do teeth because I go to the beach as soon as I'm done. And that's fine. But on the other end of it, I would say you don't go out to speak to go, yeah, I'm a speaker, I just like to speak. You know what I mean? I want to make I want to change some people's lives. I want to influence, this great profession, blah, blah, blah.
And so, like, I don't use Coachman's app. I don't use Chris's DSD app. Okay. I use the lab. And so I take the images, I take the scan, I upload it to the lab. The lab does 99% of the work. They send me back a PVS motivational matrix and I pop it in the patient's mouth and I look like the hero. Yeah. Meanwhile, literally all I've done is moved my mouse 4 or 5 times and that's it. So having certified labs that can do all of this for you now is a real game changer. Like, literally, to do a DSD case, you need 6 photos, 4 videos, and either a scan or a model. That's it. Like, there's a freshman dental student could do that, right? You can do it with an iPhone. You don't have to have an intraoral scanner. You can do it with alginate impressions. Like, there is no barrier to this. Like, if you have a smartphone, you can do this. If you have some alginate in your office, you can do this. So that's really been the big game changer for me. I didn't want to spend hours on an app designing something, right? I want to let somebody else do that. Somebody who's really good at it. And I'm totally cool paying for that lab fee, which is actually, in the grand scheme of things, very minimal compared to the type of collections and production you're going to do when you start doing some of those cases.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. So take us through number 2. What's number 2?
So number 2 is one of those kind of super simplified, stupid things, but be really efficient when you work. So if you look at some of like my online reviews, you'll talk about kind of how you'll see a current that runs through a lot of those reviews that talk about how efficient we were, how very little waiting there was in my office. And we work really hard to work efficiently. And one of the things, and part of that's just because of my dental economics gig that I've gotten to try all these different composites, is bulk fill posterior composites is a huge part of how we're able to work so efficiently. Like, we can legitimately, without sacrificing the longevity of some posterior composites, the vast majority of posterior composites we do, we can cut away a lot of the steps that went into layering our old incremental fill composites by using bulk fills. And, that really changes when you can do a restoration in, a class 2 restoration in 4.5 minutes instead of 7 minutes. That doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. All right, a couple minutes extra, right? But when you add that up for every class 2 you do over the entire year, that makes a huge difference. It means more dentistry you're going to do. We have to get leaner and meaner because, for the most part, our reimbursements are fairly static. If you're on any kind of plan at all, it's not going up at all. In fact, it's probably going down. And even if you're cash, even if you're fee for service, most people don't feel real comfortable raising their fees more than, what do you see every year? 3 to 4 to 5% is the most that dentists get real comfortable with. Well, 10%, 15% is like, no, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah. Well, even when we go out to great offices that have been through Seattle Study Club, Spear Coist, Pankey, Dawson, whatever, even with that, Josh, we'll pull the fee figures for their zip code and they're still in the 50th percentile. And I'm like, even with that, like half of the dentists are charging more than you. And they're like, what should I do? Raise my fees. I'm like, no, let's get this place where it needs to be. And that's part of it. Do you know what I mean? So, and I can't agree with you more because when I got started, a great dentist by the name of Greg Tarantolo was one of my first mentors. And he goes, Kurt, you know what? Most dentists, he talked about this. He said, most dentists, they got to realize the more you do up front, less you do later. I watch dentists, and I've seen that for 20 some years. Dentists break I'm like, why is this patient coming back 9 times? And he's like, why don't you numb them up once or twice? You know what I mean? Some of your own issues get in the way, and this patient's coming back and back and back, and it clogs the office up.
Right. And patients don't like to be sitting in our chair.
Right.
30 minutes doesn't seem like a long time to us, but for them with their mouth open and all of that stuff, it's a long time. So we want to try to maximize what we can get, do the most amount of dentistry we can, just still doing quality dentistry. And I think bulk fill posterior composites allow us to do that, allows us to be more efficient, allows us to be lean and mean, allows us to get more done in a shorter period of time, and patients appreciate that and they notice those kind of things.
Yeah, I think you've hit the gold mine with this one because time is the new rich. I use Amazon not because it saves me hundreds, if not thousands of hours a year. I use Uber not because it's a transportation. I press a button and somebody shows up. It's a time app. Do you know what I mean? Everybody knows the value of selling time. And as you're right, as a dentist, you can say, look, we do this in half the time now. I could do it probably today. It's easy, And
I've never seen Jeff Bezos and Kirk Barron in the same room together.
He's the richest man of all time. You know that?
You kind of look like him. You've got a little like Bezos thing going on. If you just put on a tight black t-shirt and said like, hey, I'm Jeff Bezos, I think people would believe you.
But he's brilliant and I have a brain this big. So like, it's not even the same deal, man.
Nice.
Yeah, so cool. I love that. Take us through number 3.
So number 3 is reducing post-op issues, right? Post-op issues cost us money. Doesn't cost our patient anything. That's why it costs us money, because they got to put their butts back in our chairs. Every time you sit a patient in your chair, it costs you at the very minimum $25 and at the maximum $50 to $75, right? So you want to diminish that as much as you can, and you need to know what your post-op percentages are. And so here's how you do that. You should have a code that you build or that you make in your Dentrix, EagleSoft, Mac Practice, Open Dental, whatever. Every software has the ability to make your own code, right? So make a code that's post-op visit for a direct restoration. You can also do post-op visit for an indirect restoration. You could do post-op visit for endo if you do a lot of endo. And so at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter, what you do is you run a occurrence frequency of that code. And then you also run a frequency of the number of direct restorations you did, and you divide the two into it. So let's say you did 100 direct restorations. So you would run a report that shows all your posterior composites, all your anterior composites. If you do amalgam, those, whatever, all the direct restoration codes, run that, see what that number is. So let's say you did 100 direct restorations and you saw 5 of them. You did 5 occurrences of the post-op direct restoration, then your post-op percentage that month for direct restorations was 5%. There is always going to be a post-op percentage. That number will never be 0, but that number shouldn't be 40, right? Right. So you need to know what the number is and you need to track it. And those kinds of things can help you determine, hey, I switched composite and all of a sudden from one month to the next, I went up 17% on my post-op issues. Is there something with the composite? Do I need to take a look at the directions of that composite? Am I using it correctly? All of that sort of stuff. So you need to know what percentage of patients you do direct or indirect restorations on, come back for post-op issues. That's how you do it. Yeah. Post-op issues are a pain for everybody. They're a pain for the patient. They're a pain for us. So you want to minimize them. So there's some ways that we can minimize our post-op issues. Dude, this is genius. I have been doing this a long time and I'm a geek about this stuff. That is a huge nugget. Like that, I've never heard anybody with that nugget. That is genius. Now, the second thing I'm going to say about this is if you ask any dentist what their percentage of post-op visits or remakes is, they're always wrong. They go, oh, Absolutely. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. The best way to get your remake percentage, and that's another thing, because patient comes in for their crown. Let's say you don't have CAD CAM or anything like that. I don't have CAD CAM. Patient comes in to get their crown and it doesn't fit. You got an open margin, you got an open contact. Sometimes it just flat doesn't fit, whatever.
Right.
You need to know what percentage of times that happens, right? That's inconvenient for the patient. That's inconvenient for you. It's costing you hundreds of dollars. You know who has that number guaranteed, who can tell every dentist what number percentage restorations need to be remade? Is their dental lab. Oh, yeah. Your dental lab tracks that. I guarantee you they track it. And so call your dental lab and ask them.
Just get it from him, huh?
Yeah, call your lab. Yeah, they will tell you immediately what your remake percentage is for a week, a month, a year, your lifetime, whatever.
That's genius, dude. I love it.
You can track it yourself. You just have to make your own codes and just tell your front desk person, hey, anytime somebody calls in with a post-op on a filling that we did, put in this code. This is the post-op filling code. And then it's an easy report to run and to do that calculation.
Hey, that's awesome, because data never lies. It never lies, because that's really. And then the other thing too, because we do this in a lot of, broken appointment percentages are really, no dentist ever knows that. They go, I don't have any problems. Well, they don't know that their team up front spends 75% of their day putting out fires and jamming people in the schedule, and your broken appointment percentage is like 12 to 15%, which is horrible waste of money. This is amazing. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Any other post-op issues that you would say typically come up in a restorative dentist office that you?
Yes. So post-op sensitivity after a composite is probably the biggest one. That's the number one thing you're going to see. The only person who has zero post-op sensitivity is the person who doesn't do any bonding, right? Your oral maxillofacial surgeon has 0% post-op sensitivity to resin composites because they never do resin composites, right? If you're doing resin composite, there's going to be a percentage of them that have post-op sensitivity. You need to know, is that percentage 4% or is that percentage 40%? Mm-hmm. And so you got to track those things. I think universal adhesives are a really great way to diminish the post-op sensitivity you have. I think they have a little bit better. It's not that they're not as technique sensitive, but there's fewer steps. They still bond really, really well. And so there's less opportunities to mess up. And every manufacturer has a universal adhesive now. They work really, really well. Many dental schools have switched over to them from fourth generation bonding agents. So I always hate telling a dentist to stop doing something that's working for them. And many dentists will say like, hey, fourth generation bonding agents and this material or, X material or Y material, whatever, work great for me. And then I'll ask them, okay, what's your post-op percentages? And they don't know. So how do you know it's working all that great if you don't have the data?
Right.
So start tracking it, right? And then try some universals and see if it goes down. And almost always it will. You'll have less post-op sensitivity if you're using universal adhesives and a selective etch method than you will if you're doing total etch with fourth generation bonding agents.
Genius. Awesome. What's number 4, which is one of your wheelhouses?
Yes. So number 4 is communication, right? The way that we communicate today, and I don't mean as dentists, I just mean as humans, is fundamentally different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, just think about the interactions with people you have and the way you have those interactions today versus in 1995. Completely and totally different, right? So if you are still having somebody at the front desk chained to a telephone, calling people to confirm their appointments, like, what are you doing? No one answers their phone. Why are we doing this? And so being able to communicate with patients via text, via email, just is 100% the way to go. I have sort of an interest in a company that does this and does this well. So sort of caveat that, I'm on the advisory board for a telecommunications company called Weave. But no matter what service you use, it doesn't matter. There's a ton of patient communication type products on the market. Make sure that your patients are getting the type of communications that work for them. Right. For some patients, it's going to be email. For some patients, it's going to be text. For some patients, it's going to be phone call. But make sure you're tailoring communications to the patient. It makes a huge difference, and it shows that you care. In addition, it unshackles the people at the front desk from doing all the tasks that we ask them to do. Right. So get involved in some kind of system with that. For me, we use Weave. We love Weave. Weave is a phone service that has a bunch of software capabilities on top of that. But there's other great ones too. So do the demos, see all the different ones, see which one works best for you. And I can tell you, I have a lot of new products that come in and out of my office. I have a lot of new technologies that come in and out of my office. 99% of the time, if I took that away, if I took our scanner away, if I took our 3D printer away, my Pano, cone beam, whatever, I don't think anybody would really bat that much of an eye. If I took Weave away, my front desk team would literally riot on us. Yeah. Like they would leave and not want to come back until it was back. So find a system that works, not so much for you, the dentist, that works for your team. They're the ones that are going to use it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with you. Like Weave is hands down one of my favorite, if not my favorite. The other thing I would say too, Josh, is that as a patient, you want to make sure that you're giving a timely response too. And technologies like Weave spread those responsibilities across team members where everyone can respond as the office through the office phone number if the person at the front is bogged down, gone, or on the week. And like, here's the other thing. This is the cool part about technology and communication you're talking about. Dentists are doing dumb things like expanding their hours because they feel like they got to be available for patients. No, you have great hours, but you're still available for patients. And we spread it across technological platforms like this where I don't have to work. I'm just responding to a patient because really, I mean, we could go deeper on this, but there really are no dental emergencies. Like people go, oh, there's no trauma to the face, baseball bat, cab face. If you're in a cab, you're not wearing a seatbelt. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the guys in New York City talk about cab face. Like those are real emergencies. But when people go, I broke a tooth, that's an emergency. And then you ask them how long it's been broken. What's your favorite response?
Yeah, it's just a month and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. Or I broke it last Thanksgiving. You're like, we just had a Thanksgiving.
Right. Which Thanksgiving? Who was president when this was broken? Can you tell me that? We have a new feature that we got from Weave called Auto SMS. And so what it does is if someone calls our office and we can't get to the phone within 4 rings, if they're on a mobile phone, it sends them a text saying, hey, thank you so much for calling Dr. Austin's office. We're tied up for the moment. We'll call you right back. In the meantime, is there something we can help you with here?
Yep.
2/3 of our even new patients don't ever even then need a phone call back after that. Everything is then handled electronically.
Yep.
When you can take that burden off of the phone, it makes everything so much easier. And I think our patients want that. I mean, I'm on my desk right now. I have a list of 4 phone calls I need to make that's been there all week because it's like, God, I don't want to pick up this phone. Like, I just don't want to do it. If I could text and get it done, it'd be done already. It would have been done on Monday.
Absolutely.
Right? So make things easy for your patient.
That feature alone that you just mentioned is worth 100 times the fee that you would pay. We could drop the mic right now and go, look, just stop the podcast, do that. Because even in my family with 6 people, everyone calls me until they get a hold of it. And I love that I'll touch a button and go, I'm on a call. Yeah. I'll call you when I'm done.
Call you right back.
To call them down, because if I don't, they call over and over. Now, your patients are never going to call over and over.
No.
But the fact that you can respond.
They call the guy 1.57 miles away from your office, right?
They do. And the stats show that, too. The stats show that if I can't get you, I'm going to go to the next guy or the next woman or whatever, Right. And generally it happens by the time they hang up the phone, their phone is buzzing with the auto SMS back. So it happens very, very, very quickly. And I saw so Weave also has an app, and I have the app on my phone. So I get notifications of all the kind of communications that come back and forth. So if I want to drop in and just kind of see what's happening, I can. Right. And I saw that somebody sent a message. It was, hey, sorry, we're with a patient. We'll get you right back. Is there anything we can do for you here? Their response to that was, wow, what a wonderful service. Yeah. I selected Dr. Austin. I would like to. I'm a new patient. I'd like to make an appointment, and I'm so happy that I did. Right. Yeah. That was the immediate response to that. So that obviously struck a chord of, oh my God, I'd so much rather do this over text, and now I can do that. This is awesome. Like, it's a no-brainer. What Josh said is crazy important. Now, it's extra important if you have patients that are like me that have the attention span of a gnat. So if I try to call any business and I can't get them, my wife, she's got a to-do list for me that's and my own that's 10 miles long. I might call you in a week and a half once I get back to it. You know what I mean? Type of thing. Brilliant. Anything else on communication that you would say?
I think that's the key. I think just being open and realizing that we can't just keep doing things the old way. Right. We can't just keep relying on voice communication, because voice communication is frankly, and I mean, that's a whole different discussion about generational differences and whatnot, but voice communication is dying, right? And replace it with what works, and what works is text and email electronics.
But what if I'm a dentist, Josh, and I'm watching this, I'm 32, and my front desk person is using the 7 most expensive words in business, which are, well, that's the way we've always done it. Like, what do I do then?
Yeah, no, I mean, you just have to paradigm shift it. And how often when something like that happens, when you change a system, and you probably see this a lot more because you're coaching, you change something and immediately it's like, oh my God, this is so much better. You just have to get that impetus to change, right? And I get it. It's really, really hard. But something like this should be easy, because it's literally unburdening a whole section of your office with a bunch of tasks that they don't need to be worried with, and they can automate a little of, and just be able to, it makes juggling all those front desk tasks so much easier when you have a system like this, that literally on day 1 or day 2, they should be, like seeing the light and saying, we should have done this months ago, years ago, whatever.
Right. And on top of it, too, the data analytics that we've provides and all, it allows you to be able to improve your business incrementally without having conversations. Like, conversations can be potentially emotional. You know what I mean?
And access to that data at all times. Like, I don't need to be here at the office to get, 95, 99% of it. I can do all my post-op calls from my office phone number at home through the app on my phone, right? And so that's, all my welcomes to new patients, all of that sort of stuff that I used to spend 30 or 40 minutes at the office at the end of the day, getting home at 5:05 and getting home at 5:45 every day. It doesn't seem like that big a deal, but over an entire year, it adds up, right? It just adds up.
Absolutely. I love it. Cool. What's number 5? Are we on number 5?
It's like it's my hit, man. It's the thing that I think most people think of when they think of me if they've seen me speak somewhere, and it's online reviews. Online reviews, no matter what marketing you do, whether you do 1-800-DENTIST, whether you do a bunch of SEO and pay-per-click, whether you do newsletters, whether you do direct mail, it doesn't matter. 67% of people who get that communication, get whatever type of marketing it is you're doing, they are checking your online reviews before they actually call to make an appointment. And so if that stuff isn't in order, I don't care what marketing you do, it's not going to work, because this sort of social commentary on your practice will steer them away to somebody else. And on most of these platforms, if you're not rated well, at the very bottom, it says other people, other places that do the same thing, and there'll always be a 5-star or a 4.9 in there. And guess where they're going to click? They're going to click on that guy, right? So I get it. Like, this stuff, number one, online reviews make dentists angry. I've never seen, like, in the Facebook groups of dentists, I've never seen more angry dentists than like when Yelp gets brought up and they tell this story about how somebody left them a terrible review on Yelp and their good reviews are filtered and yada, yada, yada. It just creates this visceral reaction. We hate the idea of our dentistry being critiqued. We hate the idea that there's some magic box where a patient can go complain, if they didn't get what they wanted. We hate that there's all those avenues for patients to voice their frustrations or whatever, and we forget about the things that are good about it and the ways that we can stand head and shoulders above the people that are around us that don't care and really show that we care. And it's free. It doesn't cost you any money to do this, and it's better than any other marketing I've ever done.
Right. Now, I got to go there, because as much as I've heard you beat the drum, and I totally believe it, this is like a non-negotiable, but there are still so many dentists that are like, how many reviews do you have? They go, I have like 9, and it's my friend from high school, and then I got one bad one on. Like, you have to do this, because it's non-negotiable, because people look at that and it's a reflection of your reputation, and it's called reputation management. But a little bit deeper than that, because I've heard this now. I don't know if this is true, Josh, but people tell me that once they start collecting them, something weird happens at 50, and then something really weird happens when they get to 100. And then the guys and gals we have at 200, they go, it's totally weird. It's really weird now, because I used to get 80% of my patients through referral. Now it's not like that. Now it's 50-50. They find or hear about me, but then they always go to see my reviews before they call. Is that true or not true?
And guess what? I mean, it's absolutely true. And it's still referral. Like, it's still word of mouth. Right. Online reviews are still word of mouth. We just used to get word of mouth referrals from, somebody in their sewing circle used to tell their friends, while they were, what do you do in a sewing circle? I don't even know. I've heard that word before. I think it's like, I think they quilt. I don't know. They make quilts. I don't know. It sounds like an Etsy thing to me.
Right.
Or their golf match or their bridge game, right? Or whatever, which I think a bridge game is when you're missing a tooth and you're trying to replace it.
Absolutely.
But the difference is now people don't do those things anymore. People don't go to bridge games. They don't have a regular golf foursome. What do they spend their free time doing?
Yeah.
Playing on their phone, social media. Man. That's kind of what is taken over. And so it's just that the difference is it's still word of mouth. The difference is just how far the voice carries, right? The voice carries much further now. So I hate it when people say like, oh, I'm just a referral, word of mouth practice. Like, yeah, great. This should be perfect then, because that's exactly what this is.
Right.
It's just the voices change over as technology evolves, voices change, and this is it. This is where we're at. This is 2018.
And I found reviews don't lie. Like we use them for Open Table with the food, but also my favorite actually is TripAdvisor. So I go to any town and I go, number one restaurant in town. Yeah. It's always amazing.
Right.
Like it's never failed me.
Right. So it rarely will it lead you astray, right? And so certainly, are there, I have a famous story of me going to the French Laundry. I did this story on stage at Dent Splice Around the World in front of 8,000 people, and there you will find 1-star reviews for the French Laundry, right? You will find people that don't like the Shawshank Redemption. Right. You will find people that no matter how good your dentistry is, no matter how often and how much butt you kiss of your patients, no matter all the things you do, the hot towels, the wax treatments, the perfect veneers, all of that, you're going to find people that aren't going to be happy, right? And that's fine. It's totally fine. If Thomas Keller can get a 1-star review, so can I. It's fine. It's not going to, your practice isn't going to end. The world's not going to, explode tomorrow. The sun's not going to send out a solar flare. Everything's going to be fine. What you just want to make sure is that you get way more 5-star reviews than 1-star review.
Right.
A 1-star review is not going to end you. Now, 20 1-star reviews aren't great, but
speak to something bigger than that. You know
sure.
what I mean?
That's something else is going on if that happens, right? So the people, dentists in particular, tend to focus on the negative of this, and the positive and the amount that we have to gain from this is so much greater than what we have to lose. That 95% of the people who leave our practices are happy and love us and are stark raving fans of us, right? Let's utilize those people. Don't get hung up on the one person who had a bad experience one time and left you a bad review. And that's what you remember about reviews. And you declare to yourself, never again will I venture into this world of online reviews. Guess what? Even if you say that, even if you say Yelp doesn't matter, I'm not doing anything with it, Google doesn't matter, I'm not doing anything with it, your profile still is there and people are still reading it. If you don't know what they're reading, you're missing out. You have to know everything that's out there about you in your reviews.
Yeah, and if you're not on the internet blogging, that's the first thing that's coming up when I'm Googling you in some cases.
100%, right. Absolutely. Because those sites, Yelp, obviously, is there anything that holds more sway with Google than their reviews on their platform?
No.
Obviously not. Like there's a practice down the street from me that spends, caveat, this is an urban legend among dentists in San Antonio, but there's a practice down the street from me that supposedly spends $20,000 a month on Google. I spend $0 a month on Google, and I am routinely in the top 3 with them for a lot of different search terms. How is that possible? The only explanation is online reviews. That's it. So it allows you to play with the big boys. It's social proofing. It's social vetting. It's what patients do. It's what prospective patients do. It's the consumer behavior that has been trained. And dentistry is not immune to that. And when people are looking for a dentist, more often than asking their neighbor, they are asking Yelp, they are asking Google. And you've got to know what answer they're getting when they ask that.
Yeah. Now I got to ask you this because you're involved in so many think tanks and on so many boards and you're out there. What's the future look like? Let's say I'm a young dentist and speak to 2 things. What's the future look like? And Josh, you get to see dentists like this. You have dentists that come up to you that are 35, they're 32 and they're struggling. They're like, dude, easy for you to say, and they have 3 decades of practice in front of them. What would you say to them? And what do you think the future looks like? It's a 2-part question.
Yeah. I mean, from a dentistry perspective, I'm a solo practitioner. And I honestly think the days of that are probably numbered. That's not to say that there will be no more solo practitioners anymore, but it just makes a ton of sense in today's day and age, technologically speaking, for me to be able to keep up technologically and have the latest scanner and have the latest CBCT and have the latest 3D printer and be able to play in those types of formats. It makes sense to be in a group practice, right? So I think group practices you're going to start to see merging, and you're going to start to see, these dentist-owned group practices, small group practices of 2, 3, 4, 5 docs that take on this type of cooperation to be able to stay on top of everything, right? And still own their own practices, right? And still kind of have say and have autonomy over their practice. So I think that's the practice model that's going to emerge. I think a lot of dentists doom and gloom and say, Rick Workman's going to come and buy everybody. Steve Thorne is going to come and buy everybody, and everything's going to be corporate and whatever. And that's obviously not the case. It's not going to happen. Right. So I think we're all heading towards group practice. I think the heart of the matter is aligning yourself with people who have similar philosophies as you, aligning yourself with somebody who has similar philosophies, but maybe different skills and talents. Mm-hmm. So, I don't do a ton. I don't do IV sedation. I don't do endo. I don't surgically place implants. It'd be great for me to partner with a dentist who did those things, mm-hmm. and find somebody who philosophically we work together, but our skills with each other. Right. Right. So I think be thinking about that. You don't necessarily need to be the same exact dentist. You want people who have different skills, but think the same way, right? So that would be great. I think technologically, obviously, we're just on the very first part of this boom, with scanners and digital interfaces and digitally guided and all of that stuff for everything from big implant cases to root canals to small implant cases to restorative cases, like with Coachman and all of that. That's continuing to go that way, and that's the way that's going to be. From a materials perspective, I just spent some time this past weekend in Boston with PulpDent and got a really chance to look up close and work with their scientist on a material called Activa, not to be confused with Activia, the yogurt that makes you stay regular, number twos. It's I think those type of materials that elicit a biologic response in a tooth, it's the next forefront, it's the next horizon, and probably the early ones are already here and in our hands, and we just don't know exactly how great those effects are going to be, but it's only going to get better. So we're going to start using materials that get a response out of a tooth. And from a insurance and from a philosophical financial perspective, whatnot, even in the UK, where we've got socialized everything, where you've got state-run, state-driven healthcare, there are still private practice boutique dentists that do the type of dentistry that they want to do, right? Those opportunities are still there. So no one's going to give you what you want. No one's going to wrap up the practice that you want, your dream practice, and give it to you in a box for you to unwrap under, the Christmas tree on December 25th. You're going to have to get out there and you're going to have to work and build it. And it starts with saying, what do I want? And I think for many of the young dentists, what they want is to get something started. Right. Awesome. Start with something. But once you get started, be thinking about, okay, what do I want in year 5? What do I want in year 10? What do I want in year 15 and thereon? And be working and be making decisions towards that goal. Yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more. There's just no one way to do it. Dentists will be around forever. I would add one piece, though, and I'm sure you would agree with this. If you're a solo dentist and you think group practice is going to make you happy, it won't. If you're not, it's like saying getting 100%. Married is going to make me happy. No, you have to be a happy person in order to enjoy a marriage and be happy. So people just think, well, I'm going to be with another dentist. But if you're a dentist who doesn't like people touching your stuff and you get with another dentist and now you have to share responsibilities, that's when it becomes a hot mess, because it's like saying an app is going to fix your problems. Sometimes problems are right here. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. They don't get fixed with another person. So I couldn't agree more, man. Absolutely. But we've all seen, and I don't want to just throw young dentists under the bus on this, we've all seen dentists that feel they have to have everything new and everything that comes out and get every update of every technology that comes out. And that's really hard for a solo practitioner. You got 8 or 10 people cranking and producing, you have more ability to be able to pull resources and be able to do that. So as we move on in a technologically driven game, I think the ability to pull resources like that is going to be an important differentiator for dental practices, of the future.
Yeah, I think we are on the beginning of the cusp, and there will be a day you'll be able to scan people's teeth with your phone. Like you'll just be able to go. Who knows when that's coming, but it's coming for sure.
It'll be here.
I am so grateful. Now I'm just going to say this: if you guys have a study club and you haven't had this guy come speak, you're just missing out on an incredible education experience. It's wildly entertaining. And everybody can find themselves in every story he tells. You're like, oh my gosh, that happened to me yesterday. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So, Josh, for the people that are listening on iTunes that don't have the benefit of seeing, how can they find you if they want more of Josh?
Any social channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Joshua Austin DDS. They can find me. You can find me on the web at, I used to say www, and I got just sick of spending like 8 seconds every time saying www. So my 2019 resolution is to no longer say www when we're talking about a website. So you can find me at austindentalseminars.com, anywhere on Facebook, any of that stuff. And my podcast is called Working Interferences. You can find that on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere where podcasts are, Google Play, any of that. It's me and my partner Lance Timmerman from Seattle, Washington, who's a great guy and who I really enjoy working with.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, we enjoy having you on here. We're going to have you back for so many other things. So stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for watching the Best Practices Show. If you enjoyed today, which I know you did, just do us a favor. Hit the share button. Share this with your friends. Keep sending us suggestions for shows that you want to see with Josh as well as other people. And until we see you next time, keep watching the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Peace.